My name is Margaret Ann Windsor, and I was kidnapped in 1941 and brought to Moulton, Alabama, and given the name of a murdered twin named Peggy Dempsey. So that's the name I have to use. They stole my name and gave me hers. And so the name I have to use is Peggy Ann Dempsey Childers. And I've always said that since I found out I was able to verbalize my kidnapping. So to the bird here. There's a person, the bird, not a very nice one. Chose a cute little name for someone who's cruel and mean. But anyway, let me just get to what I was going to put up today because that's getting nowhere. Responded to someone who's so evil. Anyway, I shouldn't even put this up even with that on it because it does no good. It charms her, I guess, someone like that. I did want to mention that last night, last night there on Lester Holt on NBC Nightly News, for the first time since I was almost killed April Fool Day of '80 in Atlanta, the Wayne Williams was mentioned on network television. And Lester Holt did last night, and he was referring to Atlanta and saying that they were, they didn't say reopening, they said re-examining because they didn't think Wayne Williams, there were those that didn't think Wayne Williams committed the crimes. It was the black children that were killed in Atlanta during the 79 and 80. And okay, let me finish this first. But you know, this whole thing, this alone was out before the public and out before the media. They didn't tell the truth about it all, but some of this, besides me putting it up here, Wayne was charged with two of the murders, and they found him guilty, and that was all kind of a sham. Except I'm not taking up for the CIA, but they're no worse than the people that let all this happen. In fact, you know, it's really cruel. People who have sat around, especially the Illuminati controlled press right up here. That's who should be handcuffed and locked up and hauled off to jail. So now then, let's get back to this last night. Everybody knew that Wayne Williams was put in prison. He's still there, Georgia State Prison, for the murder of two of the black children. Well, the murders went on happening after Wayne was convicted, locked up, and everything. They mentioned that, Lester Holt did last night. So it was enough that people know that something's terribly wrong. And plus, I have gone on here and told that, and if anybody, and I'm talking about the little chirp chirp I just mentioned on here, to get to do and go through what I did and then get people to say such evil things because they have nothing else to do. Don't ever tell me you're sorry just in case this is going to end it all and start telling the truth. And if it's going to, it would do it now. This is 40 years since that happened to me, and that's when Wayne Williams, let me say this, Maynard Jackson was the black mayor of Atlanta, and with him was Police Commissioner Lee Brown in Atlanta. They went on Good Morning America, is that what it is, on ABC? And they stated that Wayne did not commit the crimes. They were supposed to still be looking for him or going to arrest him maybe. And they went on network television now and said that Wayne didn't do it. It was a mechanism used. Well, they didn't answer what the mechanism was. Well, it's mind control, just what I've told you about. I had done the book in Atlanta. I was doing it. And here's a key part to this. If they do tell this, and once they tell this, the rest falls into place, or at least they bring some of these mind control murders up that I've been talking about done in patterns and for the world to see. Anyway, if I can get back to what I was going to say here now, Wayne Okay, the police commissioner said that, and he didn't say what the mechanism was. Okay, let me mention this, that Lee Brown, the police commissioner, went on after the Wayne Williams thing. He went on out to Houston, where he became police commissioner over and over again, and then he became mayor one or two times. Then he was drug czar for the Clintons. I always thought Lee Brown was an honest man. I guess I don't have a reason to think different, except when you associate with the Clintons, something's really wrong. I mean, they're the ones that need their, what's hauled into prison. And you can sit here and say, I don't know what I know. I do know what I know. Sometimes I wish I wish people weren't like they were, is really what I wish. Anyway, somebody will accuse me of babbling because they don't care. They're getting freebies up here, told to them when you can't turn your network news on and get it. But anyway, Wayne Williams was, well, let me put this. Now then, I'm almost killed April Fool Day of 80 in a hell that nobody wants to know. But mine's been ongoing, but that just about did wipe me off the planet. So now that I'm illegally transferred to Huntsville, Alabama with Lina Dempsey, the mother of the twins, she's a psychopath. She was really wanted me dead because if the book were published, it was MD A License to Kill. It was about mind control, use, and murders, and the Tesla files that were stolen. You can cure an illness or create it. You can program people and call them the Manchurian Candidate, which implies they're evil when they're victims, just like, Virginia Tech, the young student there a few years back, about 4 or 5 years ago, April 16th of 2015, I believe, or yeah. Okay, he was programmed to shoot the 32 people and kill them. And that's right next door to me here. It's in Blacksburg. And then he was programmed, just like he was programmed to shoot them, he was programmed to shoot himself. So he's one of the victims that makes it 33 of the programmed shooting. Okay, this has happened more than once. This is how all of this has been done. You can take program a bunch of people to go out and meet with knives and kill each other, or do whatever they're programmed to. And you like to say this doesn't happen. That's exactly why it's been allowed to happen, because nobody ended up, at least not many. And God help the ones that did, because they deserve the credit, not the people who sit back on their you-know-whats and did nothing except call me names and other people names that tried to do something. So now, I don't know if this is going up or not. I think I reached my limit on my videoing. But anyway, I said that about Lee Brown. Now that I want to go back to this, I was illegally in the state that I was in. Oh God, stuffed in Lina Dempsey, mother of the twins, car and taken back to Huntsville. I can't put all this up again. I'm just going to say this. I had gone to, on April Fool Day, I had gone to West Paces Ferry emergency room for a tox screen to be done. It was never done, and I've put this all up before. It was a fiasco, and then I'm on Friday, that's Passover. This is an 80. My ex-husband or husband comes back from California, which he'd never been before, and I couldn't get my children. It was a horrifying thing. A British lady saved my life, nurse there. Okay, so he comes and transfers me to another place that night, and thank God what was his name? McCarthy, I think was his name, was a good guy. So the next day's Easter. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, that's back in Atlanta. Okay, so, well, okay. Okay, the next day I was on Passover is Friday. Saturday I leave. I'm stuffed in the car. I thought I was going home to my apartment. and I was stuffed in Dempsey's car. She's over there suddenly. She's a part of the whole thing, along with Dr. Beecham, Dr. Hardiman, Larry McDonald was in on it, the congressman doctor, the whole wham bam, thank you, ma'am. So now then, I'm en route over there in the condition I was in, and let me just leave it there. I finally, on a Wednesday afternoon, by the way, I'm going to throw this in. Well, no, I won't either. But it has to do with where I'm at now. Like, this should be over. Oh, God, I hope so, please. And so, anyway, this is on Wednesday. Now, I went for the talk screen on the Tuesday, the April Fool Day of 80. And this is not that Wednesday, the following Wednesday. So this is how many days? 8 days? And finally the tox was done, which should have been sent to Alabama Crime Lab. And when it came back, and my ex-husband had to get it, come over and go in and get it, and I couldn't get it, but he did. He come back and gave it to me, and I gave copies to everybody, the media, everybody. It showed what they put in me. But here's the kicker, that if this is ever told, it also connects back to the Wayne Williams. They convicted him in part on the carpet fibers they found in his mom and dad's house that connected supposedly to the murders. Well, if he did one or two of them, he was programmed. But anyway, the carpet. Now then, it was sent to Alabama rather than Georgia Crime Lab. Okay, mine was the reversed. When it was finally done in Alabama, it should have been sent to the Alabama Crime Lab. Instead, it came back from Atlanta, Georgia Crime Lab, which is where I was trying to get it sent to anyway. But here's the other thing about the crime lab, where it was sent back to Atlanta. So you got, I thought, my God, it came back from the crime lab there. This is a lady worked there that typed my book. I had put an ad in the paper and asked for someone to retype my book and everything, because I was trying to get it published and I had to work. And she came and answered it, and she told me if I needed to know about how it was going, gave me a number. Well, when I called that number, it said Atlanta Crime Lab, and I thought I had the wrong number, but they connected me with her, and she said, well, I'm typing on it now. So you get the gist of this. Now then, Brian Nichols was another one in Fulton County, black man. And some of these are easy. Once you get them up, you can see what I'm talking about. But first of all, you got to get them in a court of law and put up before the public where they can't deny that mind control was used. Now, back to Wayne Williams, if I'm going to get this up. I'm over illegally across the state line, separated from my children, who really didn't know it all. They were terrorized themselves, my God. I was afraid they were going to be killed. And I worked for the district attorney, passed a background check for Sheriff Patterson, and worked for Fred Simpson, district attorney, Madison County, Huntsville, Alabama, the Space Center. The reason I threw that in. Anyway, the next job I had was for Doyle Duke, Golden Triangle. By the way, that was one honest man. I'm talking about, not that there aren't others, but he really was. And Clarice that worked with him. But while I was there, that's when they were trying to convict Wayne Williams. Well, they had arrested him. And by the way, if you look back, if they haven't been able to change all that, they found him supposedly throwing a body in the Chattahoochee River, I believe it is, right there, at night, 10 o'clock at night. And he had a letter in his pocket that he was looking for Margaret at Overbrook Apartments. Margaret is my real name, Margaret Ann Windsor, and Overbrook is where my husband and I, oh my God, first moved back to Atlanta in, I don't know, 67, I guess. And when I just stop and think, that's where the Brits were supposed to repossess me. God bless the Brits. I hope they haven't been invaded and changed so much, because there were a hell of a lot of Brits, and by that I mean Aussies, and that stepped up to the plate and really over the years and got some Americans, some feds, FBI to help. So I guess I'm going to close right in a minute. There's no need to go further. You got the Scott Petersons on death row. They've got a moratorium on the death sentence right now. So, yeah, what kind of life has he lived? I've told all this. I've told about Larry Flint being shot in Lawrenceville, Georgia, while I was doing the book at Marietta, right next door. They're 40 miles at the most apart. And he's shot by a program shooter. The shooter himself is a victim. But anyway, I'm going to, his insides were blown apart on Lawrenceville sidewalk. So I'm flown out there in 83 when the KAL goes down, this carrying the congressman doctor I'm talking about, Larry McDonald, a big subject in my book that never got published. I was almost killed. So now then, I'm flown out to Mr. Flint's Bel Air home because they had a special election to replace Larry McDonald. Well, the KAL was, the pilot evidently was programmed to fly 10 miles into Russian airspace where obviously they shot him down. Now on that plane was supposed to be former President Nixon, and on the Watergate tapes, 18.5 minute gap, I hope the world has to finally see what was on it, what they were going to do to me. Now then, there's something else I wanted to get here, but Nixon, it was done right out of the White House, right in the White House office with Nixon and Henry Kissinger, who was Defense Secretary and State Secretary. All these people have known about me. All of them, about my kidnapping, what was done to my father, Edward VIII. It was a takedown, a plot to take him down. He never married Wallace Simpson. She married one of the doubles. And my mom's Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, sister to artist George O'Keefe from Madison, Wisconsin. So now then I want to get back to this and back to Wayne Williams. Okay, I was working at Doyle Dukes then. When he was arrested, I'm in Huntsville, forced to go there, and I called Mary Welcome, his attorney, and she was a black lady, very nice lady, and she always wore these huge sunglasses. Well, so now she's representing him. I call her from Golden Triangle. I had a Watts line, and I called her, and I was afraid that she wouldn't believe me. And right away, they put her on the phone, and she says, I do believe you. And she was going to send an attorney over to get a deposition from me. Well, I was almost killed again. And then the CIA attorney who was retired, Marcus, took over the Wayne Williams, and at the end of it there, and Mary was gone. So, by the way, I did make it over there. I didn't get to talk to her or anything because I was almost killed. During the trial, and I'm on the street, I'm back over there, and I'm at the trial. I didn't say anything to anybody. I'm in a situation where damned if I do and damned if I don't. And I remember I had it all typed up, all this, and I gave it to a report. He's a network reporter, and I've forgotten his name now. It starts last name with a S, but after I gave him that, you didn't hear much about him anymore. But I went over to the press side of it, and I gave him all this, and when part of the trial that day was over, lunch break or something, he came over to me, and he said, are you Peggy Childers? And he had that in his hand, and I said yes, because at that time, it was after I was out at Flint's, I found out all about my father.